The German Shepherd wouldn't stop growling. Officer Sarah Mitchell had worked with Rex for 3 years, and she'd never seen him like this. His hackles stood straight up, teeth bared at the faded oil painting hanging in the empty school hallway. The portrait showed some stern-faced principal from the 1960s, his painted eyes seeming to follow them through the dim light. "Rex, heel." Sarah's voice cracked more than she intended. He didn't heel. He didn't even look at her. The canine lunged forward, claws scraping against the linoleum floor. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. This wasn't protocol. This wasn't training. This was pure, unfiltered instinct from a dog who'd never disobeyed her before. "What is it, boy?" Her whisper echoed down the abandoned corridor. Principal Henderson had called them in for a routine security sweep. "Just checking the building before demolition started next week. 60 years of education reduced to rubble. Nothing unusual. Nothing worth this kind of reaction." But Rex knew something she didn't. The dog's muscles coiled beneath his black and tan coat. His eyes, those intelligent, knowing eyes, never left the painting. A low whine built in his throat, the kind of sound he made when he detected explosives or bodies. Stay until the very end, because what Rex uncovers will absolutely blow your mind. But before we dive into this incredible story, do me a quick favor. Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another amazing real-life story like this one. And here's my question for you. Drop a comment below and tell us about a time when animal instincts saved the day. I personally read every single comment. Sarah's stomach twisted. They were alone in this wing of the school. The October sun had already set, leaving only the harsh fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Some of them flickered. The shadows seemed to pulse. "Rex, what do you smell?" He barked once. Sharp, demanding. Then he jumped. Sarah shouted, but it was too late. 90 pounds of trained police dog hit the wall at full force. His claws caught the corner of the ornate gold frame. The painting tilted, swung, and crashed to the floor in an explosion of splintered wood and torn canvas. "Rex, stand down!" Her training screamed at her to regain control, but her instincts, the ones she'd learned to trust after 10 years on the force, told her to look at what Rex had exposed. The wall behind the painting was different. Not painted cinder block like the rest of the corridor. This section was newer. Drywall, hastily patched. The seams were barely visible, but they were there, creating a rectangle roughly 4 feet by 3 feet. Sarah's hand moved to her radio. Her fingers trembled. Rex sat perfectly still now, staring at the wall, waiting. His tail gave one slow wag as if to say, "I did my job. Now you do yours." "Dispatch, this is Officer Mitchell at Lincoln Elementary. I need—" She paused. What did she need? A supervisor? Crime scene techs? "I need someone to check out an anomaly in the East Wing." Static crackled. "Copy that, Mitchell. What kind of anomaly?" How could she explain? Her dog had destroyed school property because what? Because he sensed something wrong with a wall? "Just send someone," she said. "Rex alerted to something behind a false wall section. 10-4, unit en route, ETA 15 minutes. 15 minutes felt like forever. Sarah crouched beside Rex, running her hand along his neck. His heart pounded beneath her palm, matching her own racing pulse. She'd seen him alert to drugs, weapons, even cadavers during training. But this felt different. This felt urgent in a way that made her skin crawl. "Good boy," she whispered. "Good boy." The fluorescent light above them flickered again, went dark for 3 full seconds. When it buzzed back to life, Sarah could have sworn the shadows had shifted. She pulled out her flashlight and approached the wall. The beam revealed more details, small cracks in the paint, a slightly different texture than the surrounding surface. Someone had covered something up. Recently, too, judging by the minimal dust accumulation. But covered up what? Rex whined again, softer this time, almost pleading. Sarah pressed her ear against the wall. Nothing. No sound, no vibration. Just the steady thrum of the building's old heating system kicking on somewhere deep in the basement. She tapped her knuckles against the surface. Hollow. Definitely hollow. Her mind raced through possibilities. Storage space? Forgotten maintenance access? Maybe just a botched renovation from years ago? But Rex didn't alert to empty spaces. The sound of footsteps echoed from the main entrance. Sarah's backup was arriving faster than expected. She straightened, trying to compose herself, trying to look like an officer in control of the situation rather than someone whose dog had just vandalized school property based on instinct. "Mitchell? You back here?" "East Wing," she called. "Follow the destroyed artwork." Sergeant Tom Bradley appeared around the corner, his weathered face creasing into concern when he saw the shattered frame and torn canvas on the floor. Behind him came Officer James Park, the department's rookie, eyes wide with curiosity. "Your dog did this?" Bradley asked, eyeing Rex carefully. He alerted to something behind it. Sarah gestured to the wall. "Look at this section. It's different." Bradley stepped closer, running his own flashlight beam across the surface. His jaw tightened. After 25 years on the force, he'd developed the same instincts Sarah trusted in herself. "Get facilities on the phone," he said to Park. "I want the original building plans, and find out when any renovations were done to this hallway." "Sir, the school's being demolished next week," Park said. "Does it really matter? It matters if there's something behind that wall that shouldn't be there." Bradley's voice carried an edge that made the rookie snap to attention. Sarah watched her sergeant study the wall, saw the calculations running behind his eyes. He was thinking what she was thinking, what Rex had somehow known. Someone had hidden something here, something important enough to cover up, something that had remained hidden for who knew how long. And in 6 days, it would have been buried under rubble forever. "We need to open it," Sarah said quietly. Bradley nodded. "Carefully. Park, get me a crowbar from the truck, and call in a crime scene unit, just in case." "Crime scene?" Park's voice pitched higher. "We don't even know if—" "Now, officer." The rookie hurried away. Sarah knelt beside Rex again, scratching behind his ears. The dog leaned into her touch, but kept his gaze fixed on the wall. Whatever was back there, he could sense it, smell it, know it in ways humans couldn't.
"What did you find, boy?" she whispered. "What don't we want to see?"
Rex's answer was a single, low growl that made the hair on Sarah's arms stand up. Bradley cleared his throat. "Your dog's got good instincts. Better than most people I've worked with."
"He's never wrong,"
Sarah said. She believed it. In 3 years, Rex had never given a false alert. Not once. His nose was too good, his training too thorough, which meant something was definitely behind that wall. Something bad enough to hide, bad enough to seal away from the world. The building settled around them with a groan of old metal and older wood. Somewhere in the darkness, a door slammed shut, though Sarah couldn't remember leaving any doors open. The temperature seemed to drop, or maybe that was just her imagination painting shadows where there were none. Park returned with a crowbar and a duffel bag of tools. "CSU is 20 minutes out. Facilities says the last renovation on this wing was in 1998, but they're looking for the specific records." 1998, Bradley repeated. 27 years ago. Sarah did the math. Whoever had sealed this wall had done so when she was still in high school, when Rex wasn't even born, when this school was still full of students and teachers and the ordinary chaos of education. What could someone have hidden that needed to stay hidden for nearly 3 decades? Bradley positioned the crowbar against the seam of the drywall. "Stand back." The first chunk of wall came away easily, too easily. White powder rained down, and behind it, Sarah could see darkness. empty space. The beam of her flashlight revealed nothing but shadow. Bradley worked methodically, peeling away larger sections. The hole grew, 3 feet, 4 feet, large enough now to see inside. Rex barked once, sharp and insistent. Sarah's flashlight beam found something in the darkness, something that made her breath catch in her throat. A shoe. Small. Child-sized. Pink, with glittery laces. And it wasn't alone. Sarah's hand shook as she angled her flashlight deeper into the cavity. The shoe was attached to something. Someone. Jesus Christ, Bradley breathed. The small skeleton sat curled against the back wall of the hidden space, knees drawn up to its chest, skull tilted forward as if sleeping. The pink shoes, light-up sneakers from another era, still adorned the small feet. Remnants of clothing clung to the bones. A purple jacket, jeans, what might have once been a Disney princess t-shirt. Sarah's throat closed. She'd seen bodies before. Car accidents, overdoses, even a murder-suicide. But this was different. This was a child who'd been sealed away like a secret, left to disappear while the world moved on without her. Park, I need that CSU here now. Bradley's voice was steady, but his face had gone pale. Tell them we have human remains. Juvenile. This is a crime scene. The rookie's footsteps pounded away down the hallway. Rex whined and pressed against Sarah's leg. She realized she'd been holding her breath. When she finally exhaled, it came out shaky and too loud in the sudden silence. Don't touch anything, Bradley said unnecessarily. They both knew protocol, but this wasn't about protocol anymore. This was about the child-sized skeleton staring at them from behind a wall that had kept her hidden for decades. Sarah forced herself to look closer, to engage the detective part of her mind that could catalog details without falling apart. The bones appeared intact, no obvious signs of trauma. The clothing suggested a girl, probably elementary age. 3rd grade? 4th? How long had she been here? The drywall that had entombed her was painted the same institutional beige as the rest of the hallway. Professional work. Someone who knew what they were doing. Someone who had access to the school, to tools, to the time needed to brick up a child and paint over the evidence. Check the frame, Bradley said, pointing to the destroyed painting still scattered across the floor. Sarah pulled on gloves from her belt and carefully examined the ornate gold frame. On the back, barely visible beneath layers of dust, was a small brass plate. Donated by the class of 1997, in memory of Principal Robert Ashford. 1997. 1 year before the renovation. The wall was sealed in 1998, Sarah said slowly. This painting was hung in 1997. Someone put the painting up deliberately, Bradley finished her thought, to mark the spot, or hide it. But why? Why would someone donate a memorial painting to cover up a murdered child? Unless... Sarah's mind raced. Unless the painting wasn't meant to hide the crime. Unless it was meant as some sick memorial to the victim herself, a marker that only the killer would understand. We need to find out who donated this frame, she said. The class of 1997. Someone in that group knows something. Bradley nodded grimly. Park! He shouted. Get me the school records. I want every name of every student who graduated in 1997, and get me a list of all faculty who worked here between 1995 and 2000. The rookie appeared, phone pressed to his ear. Sir, CSU is 10 minutes out. I also called the chief. He's on his way. Of course he was. This wasn't just a crime scene. This was a media firestorm waiting to happen. Child found sealed in school. Wall days before demolition. Sarah could already see the headlines. If Rex hadn't alerted, if they hadn't opened that wall. This little girl would have been crushed under tons of rubble next week, lost forever.
Good boy,
Sarah whispered, running her hand down Rex's back.
you found her. You brought her home.
The dog's tail wagged once, uncertain. He sensed her distress. Bradley was on his radio now, calling in more units. They'd need to secure the entire school, search every room, every hallway. If there was one body hidden here, there might be more. The thought made Sarah's stomach turn. She forced herself to study the cavity again. It was small, maybe 4 feet deep, just enough space for a child. The walls inside were bare studs and insulation, nothing unusual. But at the bottom, partially covered by the skeleton's hand, Sarah spotted something else, a piece of paper, yellowed with age but still intact.
Bradley,
she said.
there's something else in there.
Her sergeant joined her, peering into the darkness.
I see it. We'll wait for CSU. Don't want to contaminate. It's a photograph,
Sarah interrupted. She could just make out the glossy edge catching her flashlight beam.
I can see the corner.
They stared at it in silence. Whatever was in that photograph might explain everything, or nothing. But it was there, clutched in a dead child's hand for 27 years. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. The crime scene unit arrived in a controlled chaos of equipment cases and camera gear. Sarah recognized the lead tech, Monica Chen, a sharp-eyed woman who'd processed more scenes than Sarah had worked shifts.
Christ,
Monica breathed when she saw the cavity. How old? We're thinking late 90s, Bradley said. Maybe 97 or 98 based on the wall construction. Monica immediately began setting up lights and cameras.
Everyone who isn't essential needs to clear the hallway. This is going to take hours.
Sarah should have left. She should have taken Rex back to the squad car, filed her report, gone home. But her feet wouldn't move. That little girl deserved someone to stand witness, someone to care that she'd been found. Mitchell, Bradley said gently, take Rex outside. Get some air. She wanted to argue, but Rex was panting now, stressed by the tension radiating from every human in the hallway. He'd done his job. He deserved a break.
Come on, boy,
she said, tugging his leash. They walked through the dark school, past empty classrooms and lockers covered in decades of graffiti and dust. The main entrance felt miles away. Every shadow seemed to hide another secret, another victim. Outside, the October air bit at Sarah's face. She gulped it down, trying to wash away the image of that small skeleton curled up in the dark. Rex sat beside her, pressing his warm body against her leg. Dogs understood grief, she thought. They understood loss in a way that was pure and uncomplicated.
Who was she? Sarah asked the night. And who did this to her?
A car pulled up, the chief's sedan, followed by 2 more squad cars. Chief Martinez climbed out, his usual calm demeanor already cracking. Mitchell, report. She told him everything. The alert, the painting, the wall, the body. He listened without interrupting, his jaw working like he was chewing something bitter. This is going to explode, he said finally. Every news station in the state will be here by morning. We need answers fast, real answers, not speculation.
Yes, sir.
Your dog's name is going in my report, Martinez added. He did good work tonight. Damn good work. Pride swelled in Sarah's chest, but it was quickly crushed by the weight of what they'd found. One good moment couldn't erase the horror of that hidden cavity. Martinez headed inside. More people arrived, the coroner, additional detectives, even the district attorney. This case would be high profile from the start. Sarah sat on the school's front steps with Rex, watching the parade of officials enter and exit. Somewhere inside, Monica and her team were carefully extracting the skeleton, photographing every angle, collecting every scrap of evidence, including that photograph. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from Park. They got the photo. You need to see this. Her heart hammered as she stood.
Come on, Rex, let's finish what we started. Back inside, the hallway had been transformed into a proper crime scene. Yellow tape, evidence markers, portable lights making everything harsh and clinical. Monica had set up a processing station on a folding table. The photograph lay in a clear evidence bag. It showed 3 people, a young girl, maybe 8 or 9, with dark braided hair and a gap-toothed smile. She wore a purple jacket, the same one that still clung to the bones in the wall. Next to her stood a woman in her 30s, pretty, with the same dark hair. And behind them both, hand resting on the woman's shoulder, was a man in his 40s. He wore a school janitor's uniform. Sarah's blood ran cold. We ran the woman's face through missing persons databases, Monica said quietly. Got a hit immediately. She pulled up a file on her tablet. Sarah read the details with growing horror. Victoria Reyes, aged 9, reported missing October 14, 1997. Last seen leaving Lincoln Elementary School at 3:45 p.m. Mother, Carmen Reyes, reported daughter failed to meet her at pickup location. Extensive search conducted. No body found. Case remains open. October 14, 1997. 28 years ago. This child had been missing for 28 years, and she'd been here the entire time. Hidden behind a wall, sealed away while search parties combed the woods and dragged the river and questioned neighbors. The woman in the photo is her mother, Monica continued. Carmen Reyes. She died 6 years ago. Cancer. Never knew what happened to her daughter. Sarah felt like she'd been punched in the gut. That mother had died without answers, without closure, without even a body to bury. And the man? Bradley asked. Monica hesitated. According to school records, that's Martin Voss. He was a janitor here from 1989 to 1998. Quit suddenly in November 1997, 1 month after Victoria disappeared. No forwarding address, no references. Just gone. Find him, Martinez ordered. I want every resource we have on locating Martin Voss. Now. The machine of investigation kicked into high gear. Detectives scattered to follow leads. The forensics team continued processing the scene, and somewhere in the chaos, Sarah stood with Rex, staring at the photograph of a little girl who'd smiled for a camera and then disappeared forever. The janitor. He'd had access to every part of the school. He'd known the building's layout, the renovation schedule. He could have grabbed Victoria after school when the hallways were emptying, could have hidden her somewhere until after dark. And then he'd sealed her up like she'd never existed. Why? Sarah whispered. Why would anyone? Mitchell, Bradley interrupted. We got something else. He led her to another section of the wall about 10 feet from the cavity where Victoria had been found. Monica's team had taken Bradley's concern seriously. They were checking every wall in the corridor now, and they'd found a second sealed section. Sarah's knees went weak. No, please, no. But Monica was already prying away the drywall, and Sarah already knew what she'd find. Another body, another child. Another family whose grief had been sealed behind institutional beige paint. Rex barked once, twice. How many? Sarah asked. How many did he take? Bradley's face was carved from stone. However many it takes until we've checked every wall in this goddamn building. The night stretched on. More bodies were found. 4 in total by the time the sun rose. 4 children. All girls, all between 8 and 10 years old, all missing between 1995 and 1997, all hidden in the walls of Lincoln Elementary School. And Martin Voss had disappeared 28 years ago, vanishing into whatever hole monsters crawl into when they're done destroying lives. But Sarah was going to find him, even if it took the rest of her career, even if it took everything she had. Rex had given these girls a voice. Now Sarah would make sure someone listened. The morning sun felt obscene. Sarah hadn't slept. None of them had. The school had been transformed into the largest crime scene the county had ever processed, with teams working through the night to document everything. 4 victims, 4 families who'd spent decades wondering, hoping, praying, and one monster who'd thought he'd gotten away with it. Chief Martinez had set up a command center in the school's old cafeteria. Maps covered the walls, photographs of the victims, timeline charts. Sarah stood before the faces of the 4 girls, committing each one to memory. Victoria Reyes, 9 years old, October 1997. Amanda Chen, 8 years old, March 1997. Jasmine Brooks, 10 years old, November 1996. Lily Martinez, 9 years old, June 1995. 4 precious lives, snuffed out and hidden away. 4 families destroyed. "We have a lead on Voss," Detective Lisa Huang announced, striding into the cafeteria with a folder thick with papers. "Facial recognition got a hit. He's been living in Oregon under the name Michael Vaughn for the last 23 years. The room went silent. "Oregon?" Bradley repeated. "He's been in Oregon this whole time?" "Remarried. 2 stepdaughters." Huang's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. "Both are adults now, but they were minors when he married their mother 15 years ago." Sarah's stomach turned. He'd had access to more children. How many others might there be? "Portland PD is moving on him now," Huang continued. "We should have him in custody within the hour." Martinez nodded grimly. "I want him transported here immediately. This bastard is going to answer for every single one of these girls." Sarah looked at Rex, who'd been sleeping at her feet. Even the dog was exhausted. But he'd started this. His nose had pulled the first thread that unraveled Martin Voss's carefully constructed deception. "Mitchell, get some rest," Martinez said. "You and Rex did your part. Let us handle it from here." She wanted to argue, but her body was screaming for sleep. "Yes, sir." But before she could leave, her phone rang. Unknown number. "Officer Mitchell," she answered. "Hi, my name is Rachel Chen. I heard on the news about the bodies at Lincoln Elementary." The woman's voice was shaking. "One of them was Amanda Chen." Sarah's heart clenched. "Yes, ma'am, I'm so sorry. She was my sister." A sob broke through. "I was 6 when she disappeared. I'm 34 now. We never knew what happened. My parents, they never recovered. My mom still sets a place for Amanda at Christmas." Sarah closed her eyes. "Ms. Chen, I promise you, we're going to get justice for your sister. The man we believe is responsible is being arrested right now." "That janitor? Martin Voss?" "Yes. I remember him," Rachel said quietly. "He used to give us candy. Amanda loved those strawberry chews he kept in his cart. She thought he was nice. We all did." The classic predator profile: gain trust, seem harmless, strike when no one's looking. "Ms. Chen, would you be willing to come to the station? We'd like to ask you some questions, see if you remember anything that might help our case." "Anything," Rachel said fiercely. "Anything to make sure he never hurts anyone else." 3 hours later, Sarah found herself in an interview room with Rachel Chen, who looked nothing like her missing sister except for the same almond-shaped eyes. Bradley sat beside Sarah, taking notes. "Take your time," Sarah said gently. "Any detail might help, no matter how small." Rachel nodded, twisting a tissue in her hands. "I remember the day Amanda disappeared. It was March 12th, 1997. I remember because it was our mom's birthday. We were supposed to have cake after school." She paused, gathering herself. "Amanda stayed late for art club. I had already gotten picked up, but Mom had to go back for Amanda at 4:30. But when she got there..." Rachel's voice broke. Amanda was gone. Her backpack was still in the art room, but she wasn't. "Did anyone see her leave?" Bradley asked. "The art teacher, Mrs. Delgado, said Amanda left around 4:15 to go to the bathroom. She never came back." Rachel wiped her eyes. "They searched everywhere." The police thought maybe she ran away or someone grabbed her from outside, but she was inside the whole time, right there in the wall. Sarah reached across the table, squeezing Rachel's hand. Your sister didn't suffer. The coroner believes all the victims were rendered unconscious quickly. They didn't know what was happening. It was small comfort, but it was all she could offer. I saw Mr. Voss that day, Rachel said suddenly. When my mom picked me up at 3 o'clock, he was mopping the hallway near the art room. He smiled at me and said, "Have a good day, little Rachel." Bradley leaned forward. Did you see him near the art room later? No, but... Rachel frowned. The next week, when everyone was searching for Amanda, Mr. Voss was acting weird. He kept volunteering to help, kept asking what the police were doing. My dad said it was suspicious, but the police cleared him. Because they'd searched the school and found nothing. Because Martin Voss had already sealed Amanda behind a wall and painted over the evidence. The interview continued for another hour. Rachel remembered other things. Strange comments Voss made, the way he'd offer to walk girls to their cars, how he always seemed to know when kids were staying late for activities. He'd been hunting, methodically, patiently, and he'd gotten away with it for 28 years. Sarah's phone buzzed, a text from Martinez. We have him. Voss in custody. Lawyered up immediately. Of course he had. Monsters like Voss always did. Sarah thanked Rachel for her time and promised to keep her updated. Then she headed straight to the holding cells. Martin Voss looked nothing like the photo from 1997. He was 71 now, hair white, face lined and weathered. He could have been anyone's grandfather, harmless, friendly. But Sarah saw what he really was, a predator who'd stolen 4 lives and tried to bury the evidence. Mr. Voss, Sarah said, standing outside his cell. I'm Officer Mitchell. My dog found your victims. He didn't react, just stared at the wall. Victoria Reyes, Amanda Chen, Jasmine Brooks, Lily Martinez. Sarah said each name clearly. 4 little girls. Do you remember their names? Nothing. Do you remember sealing them up, leaving them in the dark? Did you think about them over the years? Wonder if anyone would find them? Still nothing. Your stepdaughters are being interviewed right now, Sarah continued. They're telling us everything, every strange behavior, every red flag their mother ignored. You thought you'd start over, didn't you? New state, new name, new victims? Finally, Voss turned his head. His eyes were flat, empty. I want my lawyer. Of course you do. Sarah smiled without warmth. But here's the thing, Martin. We have DNA. We have forensics. We have 28 years of evidence that's going to bury you. Your lawyer can't save you from that. I have nothing to say to you. You don't have to say anything. The evidence speaks for itself. Sarah leaned closer to the bars. But those girls' families? They have plenty to say, and they're going to say it at your trial, every day, for weeks. You're going to sit there and listen to how you destroyed them. Something flickered in his eyes. Fear? Regret? Sarah couldn't tell and didn't care. My dog found them, she said again. Rex. He's a good dog. Better than you'll ever be as a human being. He gave those girls their voices back, and now everyone's going to hear them. She walked away, leaving Voss alone in his cell. The trial took 8 months to prepare. Martin Voss pled not guilty, despite the overwhelming evidence. His lawyer tried every angle: unreliable forensics, contaminated crime scene, circumstantial evidence. But the prosecution had built an airtight case. Sarah attended every day of the trial, sitting in the gallery with Rex at her feet. The families sat together: Rachel Chen, Jasmine Brooks's mother, Lily Martinez's father, Victoria Reyes's grandmother. United in their grief and their determination to see justice served, The evidence was damning. DNA from Voss's old uniform, fibers matching the victim's clothing, construction receipts showing he'd purchased drywall and paint in October 1997. Testimony from his ex-wife about his strange behavior during that time period, psychological profiles explaining his methodology. And through it all, Voss sat emotionless, as if none of it touched him. Until the day Rachel Chen took the stand. "My sister loved strawberry candy," Rachel said, her voice steady despite her tears. "She loved art class. She loved our dog, Biscuit. She wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up." She turned to face Voss directly. "You took all of that from her, from us. You took 28 years of birthdays and Christmases and graduations. You took my parents' happiness. They died without knowing what happened to their daughter." Voss looked away. "But you didn't win," Rachel continued, "because she was found. They were all found. And now everyone knows what you are. Not a janitor, not Michael Vaughn, a monster who preys on children, and that's all you'll ever be remembered as." The courtroom was silent except for muffled sobs from the families. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. 4 counts of first-degree murder, multiple counts of kidnapping, abuse of a corpse. The list went on. The judge sentenced Voss to 4 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole. He'd die in prison, forgotten and alone. As the bailiffs led him away, Voss looked at Sarah one last time. She met his gaze without flinching. "My dog is a hero," she said clearly. "You're nothing." Outside the courthouse, the families held a small ceremony. They'd commissioned a memorial stone for the school grounds, listing all 4 girls' names. Lincoln Elementary would be demolished and rebuilt, but this memorial would remain. "We wanted to thank you," Rachel said to Sarah and Rex. "If your dog hadn't found them, they'd be gone forever." Sarah knelt beside Rex, scratching behind his ears. He knew they needed to be found. Dogs understand things we don't. They sense what's wrong, what's hidden. Rex couldn't leave them there. She looked at the memorial stone. Victoria, Amanda, Jasmine, and Lily. Forever in our hearts. "They're not hidden anymore," Sarah said. "They're home." Rex's tail wagged slowly, as if he understood. The media dubbed him the Hero K9. His story went viral. The dog who'd uncovered one of the decade's most horrific crimes. Sarah received hundreds of letters thanking her and Rex, commending their work. But for Sarah, it wasn't about recognition. It was about 4 little girls who'd been silenced, who'd been erased, who'd needed someone to find them and give them their voices back. And Rex, with his incredible nose and his unwavering instincts, had done exactly that. 6 months after the trial, Sarah stood in the newly rebuilt Lincoln Elementary. The memorial stone sat in a place of honor in the front courtyard. The new building was bright and modern, designed to let in light and hope. Principal Henderson approached her. "Officer Mitchell, thank you for coming to the dedication." "Wouldn't miss it," Sarah said. "We wanted to do something special," Henderson continued, "to honor what Rex did." He led her to the main hallway. There, prominently displayed, was a large photograph of Rex in his police vest, sitting alert and proud. Below it, a plaque read, "Rex, K9 Hero." In recognition of his service in bringing justice to Victoria Reyes, Amanda Chen, Jasmine Brooks, and Lily Martinez. May we never forget their lives, and may we always remember those who fight to uncover the truth. Sarah's eyes stung with tears. Rex sat beside her, looking at his own image with what could only be described as dignity. "Good boy," she whispered. "Such a good boy." Behind them, children laughed and ran through the new hallways, their voices echoing with joy and innocence. This was what the 4 girls deserved, to be remembered in a place full of life and hope. not sealed behind walls in the dark, but standing in the light, finally at peace, finally home.